on in. Hey, Chris.
Hello.
Hey, Mimi.
Hi, Marissa.
Thanks for coming.
Marissa.
Have a
Thank
seat. Hey, Mimi.
Nice to see
Nice
you
to
again.
see you. Hi, everyone. I'm Marissa, and welcome to Our Neighborhood. Every week, we will bring you people from our show to introduce you to our neighborhood. So, Chris, Mimi, tell us what you do on the show.
I'm a camera operator, one of four. We're a multi-camera sitcom, so I'm one of four operators on the show.
I'm an associate director on the show, one of one. And I help the director with camera coverage, and then I convey the director's instructions to the camera people, and they say, we can figure out something better than that. And then we do.
Well, I'm going to ask you both a few questions today. So, is the career that both of you are in what you wanted to be doing when you were younger?
Let me start over.
Go ahead.
I would say that I don't really remember off the top of my head what I had thought about doing when I was younger, but when I was a kid, and I'm dating myself here, I used to watch a show that had just come out, a syndicated show called Entertainment Tonight. Entertainment Tonight showed behind the scenes of TV shows, movies, and all that kind of stuff, and I was absolutely enthralled with it. But I grew up in Washington State. I was a business major in college, so I had no idea that this was ever a reality or anything. But fast forward so many years, and life takes you in different directions, and here I am all this time later, living the dream.
That's great.
I wanted to be, I think, a teacher, the first thing. And I got to do it a little bit because they had clubs in school. But then I found out it was more of a writing on the blackboard fetish kind of a thing. And psychology, I studied a lot of psychology, and my sister and I kind of tossed for who's going to go to grad school in psychology. And I came here kind of to do documentary films and ended up in comedies. And that makes me really, really lucky and very happy.
That's lovely. Wow. So you're both in sort of male-predominant departments in television. So how did you overcome that adversity?
Let's see. Actually, I started out my career after college. I actually went into the military. I was in the Air Force. Actually, still in the Air Force all these years later in the Reserve. And that too is very male-dominated career field. And so you always come up against people that maybe have preconceived notions. Oh, I got a gal on my crew. Can't she do the job? And it can be frustrating. And the only way I found to sort of handle it was obviously I got into camera, and it is what it is. And so all I could do was work hard, make sure they knew that I was going to carry the weight. I knew the gear. I knew the job. I knew what was expected of me, and focused on the work. And you're a team player. You treat people the way that you expect to be treated, and you just work hard. And so I tried to always make it about my job performance, so that I wanted to be known as a camera operator that happens to be a woman, so that that the gender wasn't preceding what I was doing. So that's sort of how I handled it.
And she succeeded. I don't think it was so bad as an associate director because it's an associate. It's not a director. So there's somebody directly above you with whom you are working, and I think they can figure that's a kind of woman's position too. So the objections more came actually from the crew, because I was a female associate director, and some of the old-time camera people really wouldn't take that very seriously. And if they would mess around or anything like that, they'd, when they turn the cameras to the floor and things like that.
Really?
Yeah. And if I had notes, they could be a little bit distant sometimes. But then they found out I was married to a cameraman, and that made it all better somehow. So, yeah, but I'm very lucky to have, ended up where I am, I think.
Okay, now on the lighter side of questions, can you think of any funny memories and stories from your neighborhoods growing up?
I don't know if it's funny, but I have a very fun story. I grew up in Washington State, and so it was very rural country. And so up the road, probably about a half a mile, was a friend of mine, and they lived in a house up on the hill. And so there was a slope, pretty well, it was pasture sort of in the front of the house. It sloped down, and then it sort of leveled off at the bottom. And so one winter, I don't remember, there was snow on the ground. So they were having a slumber party. And so we went up to have the slumber party, and that evening, the gal's dad had put the sprinkler on the slope, right, and run water, so it would be really slick. So we could go sledding like at midnight, you know. But it wasn't actually sleds, they were inner tubes, they were those little plastic things you go sliding down. And remember, this is a pasture, not a ski slope. So it wasn't smooth. It had bumps in it, ruts in it, little plants in it, and little scrub, you know, stuff in it. And so we went down that, you know, over and over and over again. You're getting bounced out, you're trying to make it to the bottom, you know, all in one piece, and we're just wet and we're cold and we're laughing our heads off, and that's a really fond memory growing up in that neighborhood.
It's lovely.
I grew up in the suburbs of Columbus, Ohio. And mostly everybody was pretty normal, except for with their pets. Like the people down the street had a chicken that liked to drink beer. And you don't expect that in the suburbs. People across the street had a peacock. Actually, they thought it was a peacock. It was a peahen, which isn't nearly as attractive as a peacock, because when they spread their feathers, they're not all colorful. And they squawk. So they had to get a chicken to keep it company, because another peacock was too much. But they couldn't get the chicken from down the street. They had to go get a different chicken. And then a woman next door had a poodle, and she dyed it different colors. She had a white toy poodle, and she would dye it pink sometimes.
Where was this?
This this is Ohio.
Wow,
This is,
okay,
you
wow.
know, this is the Midwest. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and everybody lived right through it.
Oh.
Well, it looks like that's all the time we have. This has been so illuminating.
I want to know more.
I know, me too. Well, maybe in the future we will get to hear more. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
being
having us.
here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay tuned to see who that is next week on Our Neighborhood.